A long time ago, in a small village filled with pineapples and huge stems of bananas, there lived a kind and humble family. Babatunde, the father, was a hard-working farmer. Mama Kemi, the mother, sold vegetables in the market. She sold things like fresh pumpkin leaves, scent leaves, and curry leaves. The villagers loved buying their vegetables from her. The only problem was they weren't doing well financially. There was no money to train the children properly. They had three children, but their youngest daughter, Lola, was very special. Lola had a gift. She could see the future in her dreams. Sometimes she would dream of good things, like rain coming to water the dry land. Other times, she would see danger coming to the village. Each time she told her parents her dreams, they always came true. And with these gifts, the family was able to avert several calamities. She once dreamt that a suitor would come for her eldest sister Kehinde, and not long after that, a suitor came. But in her dream, she saw that Kehinde would not be happy in the marriage. She saw her sister crying in her own pool of tears. And because of this, when the suitor came back, Tunde sensed immediately that he sounded very harsh. This made him turn him down, with hopes that better people will come for her. One day, Babatunde sat with his wife and said, "Kemi, we cannot take care of Lola and our other children the way we should. My sister in Sapele village has offered to take her in. She and her husband have money. Lola will eat well, continue her schooling, and have a better life." Mama Kemi's heart was heavy, but she agreed. "I will miss her, but if this will give her a better future, let her go," she said. Lola was taken to live with her father's sister, Auntie Ronke, and her husband, Uncle Femi, who lived in Sapele village. The village was a lot more bubbly than where she was coming from. They had cars and huge houses, unlike her own. Their house was big and they had plenty of food. But from the very first day, Lola realized that something was wrong. Auntie Ronke and Uncle Femi did not love her the way her parents did. They made her do all the housework, sweeping, cooking, and washing heaps of dishes, while their own children played and enjoyed themselves. If she made a mistake, Auntie Ronke shouted at her, and sometimes Uncle Femi even beat her. At this point, all she had were her dreams to comfort her. At night, after all her work, Lola would sleep on the cold floor, but her dreams did not stop. One day, she had a dream that her aunt, Ronke, would lose money on the road. She ran immediately to her aunt's room. "Auntie, auntie," she called. "What is it this girl?" her aunt thundered. "Auntie, I had a dream where you were walking on the road and you lost your money." Auntie Ronke looked at her with disgust. "So you can dream, eh? Why don't you dream of how to get your family out of poverty?" Joseph the dreamer. "Get out of this room and let me continue my sleep." Lola walked to the floor she was lying down and felt very disheartened. She asked herself, why haven't I seen anything to get my family out of poverty? I guess Auntie Ronke is right. It's better I stop dreaming. And because of how she was feeling, she didn't pray or banish the dream. The next day, Auntie Ronke went to her shop where she sold jewelries, and after making sales for that day, she had made a lot of gains. So she stuffed the money in her handbag and tied it with a rubber band. Previously, her workers were always stealing her money, which is why she decided today that she will take the money back to her house. Soon, she boarded a taxi and got to her house. On getting to her house, she wanted to pay the taxi driver, but as she dipped her hands into her bag, she discovered that there wasn't any money in it. At first, she thought she was dreaming, but when she came back to reality, the taxi driver and the passengers inside were already getting impatient. The taxi driver roared, "Give me my money, woman, and stop wasting my time." She searched the whole bag several times, but she was unable to find the money. At this point, she was beginning to sob. She begged the taxi driver to let her go inside her house and get money, but he refused. And as the fight was about to start, Lola was walking down the road with the money her aunt gave her to go to the market with. Immediately Auntie Ronke saw her, she shouted her name and said, Lola, Lola. Lola turned and saw her aunt looking distressed. She ran to her. Auntie Ronke asked Lola, do you have any money on you? Yes, I do. And she didn't even finish the sentence before Auntie Ronke snatched the money from her hands and proceeded to pay the taxi driver his 300 naira while cursing him. The taxi driver drove off, cursing Auntie Ronke. Lola was surprised with what she was seeing, and when she tried to ask her aunt what the problem was, she ignored her and walked to the house as Lola quietly followed her. On another night, she had a dream that troubled her. She saw a great storm coming. The wind howled and heavy rain flooded the streets. She saw Uncle Femi's shop destroyed and she saw Auntie Ronke crying. When she woke up, she went to tell them, Auntie, I had another dream. A big storm is coming and it will destroy many things, including Uncle Femi's shop. We must pray now. Auntie Ronke rolled her eyes. Nonsense. Stop talking like a mad girl. Go and fetch water. Uncle Femi laughed. You are just a child. Dreams do not mean anything. They are not real. Stop wasting your time and closing your eyes thinking you are about to see something. Dreams are imaginations. Lola wanted to warn them again, but as she opened her mouth, they both shouted, Get out, my friend! 3 days later, dark clouds filled the sky, the wind blew fiercely, and the rain began to fall heavily. The storm was stronger than any they had ever seen. Rivers overflowed, trees fell, and houses shook. The next morning, when the storm finally stopped, the village was in ruins. Just as Lola had seen in her dream, Uncle Femi's shop was destroyed. The roof had been blown away, and his goods were destroyed. Auntie Ronke and Uncle Femi were in shock when they heard of the news. How did this happen? Uncle Femi cried. Then Auntie Ronke remembered Lola. She remembered the girl's warning. Fear crept into her heart and she shouted immediately, It is Lola. That girl is just bad luck. How did she know this will happen if she is not a witch? I will deal with her today. When they got home, they made Lola kneel down outside the house till the next day, telling her that she and her witch friends should stop causing problems for them. But this was only the beginning. More dreams came and more troubles followed. A few nights later, Lola had another dream. This time, she saw Uncle Femi falling very sick. His body burned with fever and no medicine could heal him. She woke up sweating. The next morning, she ran to Auntie Ronke. Auntie, I had another dream. Uncle Femi is going to fall very sick. We must do something. Auntie Ronke frowned. Enough of your silly dreams. One more word from you and I will cut out your tongue. Lola sighed. No one listened to her. Days passed, and just as she had seen in her dream, Uncle Femi became very ill. He could not eat and his body burned with fever. The doctors came but no medicine worked. Now fear had gripped Auntie Ronke's heart. She remembered Lola again, the girl who she had ignored and mistreated. Could her dreams be real? Could she really see the future? Uncle Femi's sickness grew worse with each passing day. His once strong body became weak and he could barely lift his head. The doctors tried everything but nothing worked. One night as Auntie Ronke sat beside him, fanning his burning body, she sighed deeply. She looked at Lola who was quietly sweeping the floor. A thought crept into her mind. What if this girl truly sees the future? What if her dreams are not just childish tales? She quickly shook her head. Nonsense. She told herself she's just a poor village girl. What does she even know? But deep inside, fear chewed at her heart. Soon, Lola had another dream. She saw a dark shadow standing near Uncle Femi. And in this dream, she was disturbed because she did not know what it means. In the same dream, a woman in white appeared to her and told her only the truth can set him free. When Lola woke up, she knew what she had to do. She rushed to Auntie Ronke, her voice trembling. Auntie, I had another dream. Uncle Femi's sickness is not ordinary. Uncle Femi has done something bad, and until the truth is spoken, he will not get well. Auntie Ronke stared at her and then burst into laughter. Are you now a healer? A prophet? Get out of my sight, my friend. But as soon as she finished speaking, Uncle Femi groaned loudly in pain and twisted. Sweat was pouring from his face like water. Auntie Ronke jumped in fear. That night, she could not sleep. Lola's words were echoing in her mind. Only the truth can set him free. The next morning, Auntie Ronke sat by her husband and held his hand. His face was pale and his eyes were tired. She took a deep breath. Femi, she whispered, is there something you have done? Something that you are hiding? Uncle Femi's eyes flickered with fear. He turned away silent. Auntie Ronke pressed on. Femi, Lola's dreams have not been wrong so far. If there is something you are hiding, now is the time to speak. Uncle Femi took a shaky breath. His voice was as weak as he spoke. Years ago, before we became rich, I made a promise to an old man in the village that I would marry his daughter and help his family if he helps me become rich. He was a healer and a strong medicine man. He gave me something to bury in our shop for good fortune. He said as long as no one touched it, we would have money. The storm that happened the other day must have caused it to be uprooted. I couldn't find it when I got there. Auntie Ronke shouted, and you never told me this? Uncle Femi swallowed hard. When I had made money, shortly before our marriage, his daughter was the lady you were always seeing in the shop. But I told you I had nothing to do with her, and you insisted I sack her. I had to listen to you because you were from a wealthy family, and I couldn't risk marrying into a poor family. And so, even though she did not do anything bad to me, I still chased her away because she came from a poor family while you were from a rich family. Since then, I have never been at peace. Tears filled Auntie Ronke's eyes. You played with things you did not understand, Femi. Now you are paying the price. Lola, who had been listening quietly, stepped forward. Uncle, you must make peace with her. It is only then that you will be free. Auntie Ronke had no choice. The next day, she and Uncle Femi, even though he was weak, traveled back to their old village where they had their first shop. They searched for the old healer and his daughter, but they were long gone. No one knew where they had gone to. They were now desperate. They went to the village chief and told him everything. The chief shook his head and said, you took advantage of people and that's why you are now suffering. You must beg for forgiveness, not just from the spirits, but from the lady and her father. But the problem was, the lady's family had left the village years ago. No one knew where they had gone. Uncle Femi was weak and hopeless. What do I do now? He said. Lola came forward. She said to them, I will dream. She was very confident. I promise, I will dream. I will find the family that you are looking for. Auntie Ronke looked at her. She was still in doubt, but she had no choice. She said to Lola, okay then, dream, my dear Lola. Dream and tell us where they are. I have confidence in you. That night, Chief gave them a resting place and Lola slept deeply, thinking about how the nicest words her aunt said to her was that she had confidence in her. In her dream, she saw a woman sitting by a river and she was washing some clothes. A young boy was sitting beside her, but in his eyes were a lot of sadness. Behind them was a large tree with red flowers. Lola woke up and described what she saw. The village chief's eyes widened. I know that place. It is a village beyond the hills. You must go there and find them.
Without wasting time, Auntie Ronke, Uncle Femi and Lola set off on a journey to the village beyond the hills. The road was rough and Uncle Femi was weak from his sickness. He had to be carried in a wheelchair as usual. This time they could not turn back. After 2 days of travel, they finally arrived. Just as Lola had seen in her dream, there was a river, and also there were large trees with red flowers, and under them a woman sat washing her clothes. Auntie Ronke stepped forward. "Excuse me, are you the daughter of the old herbalist that once stayed near Emekuku stream?" The woman turned her eyes and said, "Who are you, and why do you ask?" Then it suddenly came back to her. "I remember you," she said, staring at Uncle Femi. Her voice was cold. "You were the man that chased me away from your shop. You were the man who promised my father that you would take care of me and marry me. What do you want? Haven't you done enough?" Uncle Femi started sobbing. "I have come to beg for forgiveness. Because of me, you and your family have suffered. Now I am suffering too." The woman watched him for a long time, and without a word, she turned and walked away, ignoring Femi and his wife. Lola's heart sank. Was it too late? What hadn't she done right? That night, she had another dream. This time, she saw a woman standing under the tree, looking at the stars. That woman was the same as the woman that was washing clothes. When Lola looked at her heart seemed heavy, but there was kindness in her eyes. Lola woke up with hope, not just because she had seen the woman, but because she had seen into her heart and she knew that she was a good woman. But she said to herself, "She has not forgiven us yet, but her heart is not closed. Now we have to find another way to make her listen."
The night was long and cold in the village beyond the hills. Lola, Auntie Ronke and Uncle Femi sat outside a small hut, wondering what to do next. The woman whose family had suffered because of Uncle Femi's actions had refused to forgive them. Lola knew that time was running out. Uncle Femi's body was getting weaker by the day, and if he was not forgiven soon, something worse might happen. That night, she lay on the floor and closed her eyes, praying for a dream that would show them what to do. In her dream, Lola saw the woman again, but this time she was a young girl. She was running through a field of tall grass, laughing as she chased a small goat. Suddenly, the sky turned dark and heavy rain began to pour. The girl ran home, but when she arrived, she found her father crying. "We must leave this village," the father said. "We are no longer welcome here." The girl did not understand. She only knew that from that day her life had changed forever. Then Lola saw something else, something surprising. Auntie Ronke's face appeared in the dream. She was much younger, standing with other women in the village, whispering and pointing at the girl's father. Lola heard their words clearly. "That man is a wizard. He gave his daughter a love charm to take my fiancé away from me." Lola woke up with a deep gasp. She sat up, her heart beating fast. She understood now. It was not just Uncle Femi who had wronged the woman's family. Auntie Ronke was also guilty. The next morning, Lola turned to her aunt and said, "Auntie, you also have to ask for forgiveness." Auntie Ronke's eyes widened. "Me? What have I done?" Lola took a deep breath and said, "Before the woman's family left that village, you and the other women accused her father of being a wizard. That is why they had to run away. That is why she refuses to forgive us." Auntie Ronke's face went pale. She had forgotten about that part of the past. At that time, she had believed the room was like everyone else, but now she knew it was wrong, and she shouldn't have done it in the first place. Tears filled her eyes and she said, "I was foolish, I was jealous, and I was cruel. Now look at what I am going through."
She stood up and walked to the river where the woman was sitting alone, staring at the water. She knelt before her and said, "I have come to ask for forgiveness, not just for my husband, but for myself too. Years ago, I joined others in spreading rumors about your family. I hurt your family and I regret this with all my heart." The woman turned to look at her. Her face was full of anger. "Do you know what those lies did to us? We were aware that your family was the one that started those rumors. Do you know that my father died not long after we got to this place? The next man I was supposed to marry ran away after hearing the rumors too. And I was already pregnant, so I had my child with no help from anyone, and I have been struggling ever since." Auntie Ronke nodded. "Yes, it destroyed your family, and for that I am sorry." The woman was silent for a long time. Then she finally spoke. "My father always told me that the only way to heal is to let go of anger. But for years I held on to it. Maybe it is time to release it." She looked at Uncle Femi, who was now too weak to stand, and she said to him, "I forgive you." The moment the woman spoke these words, something changed. A strong wind blew through the village, shaking the trees. Uncle Femi let out a deep sigh as if a great weight had been lifted off his chest. His breathing became steady, and for the first time in weeks, his fever began to disappear. He opened his eyes clearer and stronger than before. "I feel lighter," he said. Lola smiled. She knew the curse had been broken. After resting for a few days, Auntie Ronke, Uncle Femi and Lola prepared to return home. He offered the woman, whose name was Bisi, the chance to return to Sapele with them and be taken care of. But Bisi said she was better off here, but she promised to send her son once in a while to them. She also gave them food and even walked with them for part of the journey. Before they left, the woman turned to Lola and said, "You have a great gift. Never stop dreaming." Lola smiled and said, "I won't." When they returned to the city, Auntie Ronke and Uncle Femi were no longer the same. They treated Lola with kindness, no longer seeing her as just a poor girl from the village, but as someone special. One day, Auntie Ronke held Lola's hands and said, "I have been blind for too long. Forgive me, my child. From now on, you are not just a servant in this house. You are family." Lola's heart was full of joy, but deep inside, she knew her journey was now over. There were still many dreams to come and many lives to save. And so, it was clear to Lola that dreams meant something. They could be a gateway through which we are shown various things about our life. And so, she continued her path, knowing that her gift was meant for something great and that she would never lose hope in the capacity of her dreams.